Hey, what's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday, which means Let's Talk Jets. We are live tonight, 8 o'clock. Make sure you call in. Numbers 929-477-2651. If you want to argue with me, I'm always behind the glass. Just give me a shout. I'll be ready to hop on if you want to argue with me. If not, Tyson and Joe will be there, so definitely call in and talk to us. We'll be talking Jets all night. A lot to report on from camp today. A few standouts that I'll start with. I'll start with Blake Cashman first, who a guy, 5th-round pick, inside linebacker. A lot of fans, I still remember when the pick was made, we had hopes of, still adding more depth on the offensive line. We wanted a corner. And, there were a few guys that were there that, I know a lot of fans really wanted. And we took Cashman and we're like, what the hell is McCagnon doing, right? We still have Darren Lee as a backup. We just signed C.J. Mosley. Why are we taking an inside linebacker? Well, if you've watched enough of practice, or if you've watched enough clips or seen enough reports, you'll know that the Jets' coverage linebackers can still be a question mark. All right, I like C.J. Mosley, and I've already said he's a smart dude, incredibly athletic, who I think is going to make up for what he doesn't have as a coverage linebacker with his smarts, and he's still quick enough to be effective in coverage. Obviously, he's an all-pro, so I'm not too worried about him. I do worry a little bit about Avery Williamson, though, and so that's where I think Blake Cashman is really going to come into play. You could see him sub in on nickel packages or on obvious passing downs. I think he could be a guy that might be more effective than Avery Williamson in coverage, so that's something to watch. He had a huge hit today on Greg Dortch. Just absolutely lit him up coming over the middle on a slant. Just read it the whole way, jarred the ball loose, pass was incomplete. So a nice job by Cashman stepping up. Just going position by position, I guess. Looking at the wide receivers, a few guys stepped up today, and the first would be Josh Bellamy. Quincy Enunwa had a really awesome deep ball touchdown from Sam at one point when wide receivers were going up against DBs, but he came up lame afterwards. I thought it was a hamstring or might have been a groin, I'm not really sure. But Josh Bellamy was the first guy that came up with the first team after that, and he's been making some plays, at least today he was. Throughout camp, you notice him on special teams, but today was the first day where he was really starting to shine and look a little bit more comfortable at wide receiver. So between him, between Deontay Burnett, who's been pretty consistent so far all of camp, and then Greg Dortch, who, this guy's just electrifying with the ball in his hands. I know Gase touched on him yesterday. The guy's quick, he's shifty, he's tough to bring down. He's been their first punt returner up. So I think he's a guy that definitely has an inside track at making the roster right now with what he's going to bring on special teams, plus what he can bring as a receiver with some of the other weapons that are around him. So we'll pay attention to that. Looking at tight end, Ryan Griffin, he continues to impress. He's definitely been a little bit more noticeable, I think, than Trayvon Wesco early on, at least for the past week. Wesco shined for the first week or so. Still looking good as a blocker, but I think you see Griffin a little bit more as a receiver, a little bit more athletic, solid hands. Plus, he's a veteran. He's had a 50-catch year before. So I think we'll probably see a lot more of him early in the season while Chris Herndon's suspended. Looking at the running backs, again, I've already said a few times, I think this is probably the deepest position on the team. So the one guy I'm going to highlight is Eli McGuire because, we're all fan favorites of him. We've done some events with him. Love the guy. Great talent. But does he bring something that the other backs don't have? And I'd say yes as far as what he brings as an inside runner. That would be nice depth to have there. But is he a better receiver than, let's say, Bilal Powell, than a Trenton Cannon, than a Ty Montgomery? And that's, I don't know yet, because I watched Ty Montgomery, and you could tell Gase absolutely loves him. He's going to use him in a lot of two-back sets with Le'Veon Bell as a receiver, as a running back. So Ty Montgomery is going to get used plenty in this offense. Bilal Powell, I think, is going to get used plenty in this offense. We know what he can bring as far as blitz pickup goes, as far as his ability to catch the ball. He's a smart player, tough to bring down also. So between those three guys, and then Trenton Cannon, with our, he's been the first kick returner, first team as a gunner on punt coverage. Linebackers are still having trouble keeping up with him in coverage today when they were doing the one drill. Running backs and receivers were going up against some linebackers and DBs in coverage with quarterbacks throwing him the ball. And he absolutely dusted C.J. Mosley at least 5 yards behind him in the end zone for a touchdown. So if Cannon can bring that different element, plus what you already have with Montgomery and Powell and obviously Le'Veon Bell, is there a spot for Eli McGuire on this team? I think that's a fair question. Looking at the offensive line, obviously I love the recent pickup of Ryan Khalil and the guy they added from Baltimore. I should check my roster. I forgot his name. already. It's crazy. I don't even think they have him on the roster yet. Yeah, they didn't give him a number yet because he didn't pass his physical. They did claim the corner last night, Alex Brown. He doesn't have a number yet either. Guy that Joe Douglas knows from Philly. But yeah, between the two offensive line additions, what this does, it bolsters the starters, first off, with Khalil. But now you have depth between Harrison also, who can start games, having just some veteran presence backing up your starting five, which I now think you might be able to say is an above-average unit. You have 4 solid veterans on there, and Brandon Shell, who I'll continue to defend. He had 3 penalties last year. I'm sorry, 3. He gave up 3 sacks, had 6 penalties. The 6 penalties were half as many as Trent Williams. And fans obviously Trent Williams playing left tackle is a little bit different, but I don't think Shell has been as bad as most people make him out to be. For a 5th-round pick, a guy that's young and in his first 3 years has already started a handful of games at right tackle. I would think that the expectation would be that with more talent around him, with more veterans around him, with a better quarterback, a better offensive coach, that him, like anybody else, would show improvement with more playing time, more reps, and things like that. So we'll see what happens there, but definitely gotta love the depth right now. That was a huge concern coming into the season, and so with these 2 moves by Joe Douglas, you've started to solidify that. And I said last night on Twitter, I'll say it again right now, because I still keep getting heat for Maccagnan. I'll still keep going in on it, because nobody wants to touch it, and I'll touch it. I have no problem touching it. It is so funny how the Douglas moves are perceived versus the Maccagnan moves, right? I love both of them, but we added a 34-year-old center that just came out of retirement. He's probably not going to be part of the future. And the other guy we're talking about has been injured the last 3 years. Yet still, Joe Douglas is crowned a king. And, now all of a sudden it's his team. And, we only mentioned Maccagnan when Jeremy Clark got released, which I predicted in the last video. I knew one of his picks were going to get released soon enough. And of course, we saw the inevitable reaction after it. Another guy that Maccagnan can't draft in the mid-rounds. Like, guy was a 6th-round pick. You look around the league at every single team. And I was just looking at the 2015 draft because I was working on an article a few months ago about this. You look at the 2015 draft, go to the mid-rounds, because that's the first class that hit free agency this past offseason, right? I think in rounds 6 through 7, there was one guy still with the team that drafted him. Yet we treat these picks like every single player should be on the roster, starting caliber player. If it's a depth guy or somebody that's providing competition or gets beat out by somebody else who you brought in for competition, it's the end of the world. Like, every team rotates these guys in and out. You find guys on waivers, you pick up undrafted guys, and you bring in competition with your late round picks. And whoever makes it, what's the difference if you picked up a guy on waivers versus if he was a late round pick? What's the difference if Bronson Kafusi, who's a former 3rd round pick wherever he was from, or Terrell Basham, he was a 3rd round pick with the Colts. Jordan Morgan, he was a 5th round pick with the Bears. They're on our roster now. What's the difference? I care about the core players that we have in place. That's what I care about. We have a franchise quarterback in place for the first time in God knows how long. We have a Hall of Fame running back in place for the first time since Curtis Martin. Or you can say LaDainian Tomlinson, but that was at the end of his career. We have 3 legitimate wide receivers if they stay healthy. We have 2 young tight ends. We now have a solid offensive line, which, again, Joe Douglas was brought in at the right time, the perfect time, because he didn't have to do the dirty work of finding a quarterback, of finding all the other pieces that he already has. And he even said himself in his intro presser how rare it is to come into a situation like this where he has a franchise quarterback on his rookie contract for the next 4 years or 3 years. That is so rare to have that. So again, as we continue to say Maccagnan's name anytime Joe Douglas makes a signing or, does something good, I'll continue to say that it's possible to not only appreciate Mike Maccagnan, but value what he brought to the team and like Joe Douglas and how he's going to get it over the hump, right? Joe Douglas, his biggest thing is what? The trenches, right? That's what he talks about. He wants to build through the trenches, build the offensive line. All right, cool. If that's his thing, that's what we're missing right now, right? That's what we hope Khalil's going to bring. That's what maybe a Trent Williams trade could bring. Looking at our picks next year, I would be shocked if they didn't prioritize the offensive line. So he's going to get that done.
All right, I think most fans are in agreement. He's going to get that done, which is a huge piece. It's a huge component. It's something that we need. But he's able to focus on that because everything else around him just about is set. Maybe we still need a corner. Yes, we need a kicker, which, again, how many playoff teams throughout this season are releasing kickers, signing new kickers, but only Jet fans make it, oh my God, that general manager's terrible because we don't have a kicker on freaking August 8th or whatever it is. Like, give me a break. Like, seriously? Anyway, I'm done with the McCagnon rant for now, but I'll probably have some more of them as we continue to go. Looking at the defensive side of the ball, Quinnen Williams, he was shining today. Had a really nice move on a double team. I think he was double teamed in a red zone drill. Got a nice sack on Darnold, or a would-be sack. Ja'Kai Polite, he continues to step up. Yesterday, he had 3 consecutive plays that I think would have been sacks if it was a live game. Today, he had another nice rush on a pass. I think it was from Webb at quarterback with the 3s. He did get there a little bit today with the 2s, which was nice to see because most of his reps have been with the 3rd team. So you hope that as he continues to shine a little bit, he'll start to get some of those 2nd team reps. Doug Middleton had a nice pick today towards the end of practice. Derek Jones had a few nice plays in coverage. I still want to see a little bit more from him. Most of his reps have been either 3rd team or 2nd team. Hasn't been very noticeable, but today he did make a couple nice plays, so that was good to see. Perry Nickerson had a few nice plays in coverage. Other than that, I don't think there's anybody else that I'm really missing that had a huge day, but I'll definitely check my notes when I get in. And then let's talk Jets tonight, 8 o'clock, so anything I forgot right now, I'll definitely address it then. And if you want to argue with me, you want to fight with me, call in 929-477-2651. So talk to you guys then. And before I forget, NYSF Mag, go check it out. We just went to print on Sunday night or Monday morning, so the magazine is live. You can go check it out. You can download the free version, or you can pick up your hard copy for free. It's going to be at one of 400 locations throughout North Jersey. Just check out nysfmag.com for all the details. Appreciate all the support, all the listens, all the reads, everything else. Football's coming soon. Talk to you guys tonight. Go Jets.